What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, May 18th, 2021, a Widow Wednesday. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside from Spawn on Me, Khalif Adams.
What up, Greg? What up,
Not
Greg?
much, man. How are you now? How are you feeling? Are you drinking the water? You said right. You just got the second dose of Moderna. Or do we have to have a nurse on standby? What's happening?
I'm feeling lightheaded and I can't see orange. I don't know what's happening, Greg. Can you help me out right now? No, I'm drinking all the water. I had a whole bunch of Gatorade. Had one and a half. Well, I had half a Pop-Tart, so I think that covers everything. That's what you need.
That's exactly what the CDC recommends right afterwards.
Wear your mask, eat a Pop-Tart. That's the way it winds up working.
At the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, eat it through the mask.
Through the mask.
No, but I'm feeling okay. We'll see in about another 2 hours or so.
So wait, did you get it this morning or did you get it yesterday?
I got it around like 6 p.m. yesterday. So supposedly I think it's like that 12-hour gap where they're like, well, you'll feel okay. And then you get to this weird spot where you may start to feel some of the effects of it. But
sure,
I'm hoping that'll be after the show so I don't wind up feeling all super funky during the show.
See, I don't want to throw rocks from my glass house here, right? But I'm a Moderna boy too. And I had no problems the second day. I think it's these Pfizer kids, all right?
No, it said that Moderna is more intense than Pfizer.
I mean, maybe I'm just so strong, you know? Maybe I don't have to worry about it.
Or maybe the vaccine didn't like activate as many of
it. It didn't take from me. My body rejected it.
Your metachlorians just fought it all off, and that was what it is.
It's all about that Pfizer gang. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
God! Is that what you want? Yeah.
Imagine vaccination groups as like
gangs,
gang members, like streets of the gangs in New York, but all about vaccinations, and that would be the way you'd wind up doing.
Just roaming the streets. Get these Pfizer boys out of my town. This is Moderna territory.
Once you're a Moderna, you're Moderna all the way. Like that would be dope. I want to see that, but I'm good.
It's the Johnson & Johnson kids. They're coming down the street right now.
Look at those nerds, those Johnson & Johnson kids.
Everyone has needles. Why are they trying to stab me? I don't know. Yeah, it's a bunch of things.
Khalif, you've been on the show dozens of times now, but for somebody who's seeing you for the first time, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Khalif Adams. I run the Spawn on Me podcast. We are the premier podcast spotlighting people of color in the video game industry. We've been doing that for about 8 years or so, almost 9 coming up. Towards the end of the year, we'll be rolling around towards 9 years. And we have fantastic conversations that a lot of gaming podcasts don't want to dig into. And we talk about marginalized and underrepresented groups in our show, while talking about all the dope stuff that happens in the gaming space. So it's a little bit of mix of all those things combined is where you'll find Spawn on Me.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Love you. Thank you for making the time to come in here today because we have plenty to talk about.
Woo.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's tackle an IGN Palestine update, GTA 5 online on PS5 having a date, and the question of, is Devolver going public? We're going to dive into all of this and more because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show at patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Of course, on patreon.com/kindafunnygames, you can ask your questions about the video game news each and every day. You can get the show ad-free, and you can get the show with the exclusive post show we do each and every weekday on patreon.com/kindafunnygames. However, if you have no bucks to toss our way, it's no big deal. You can watch us record the show live for free on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, just like Cinemaniac is, Unsung Spartan is, and the gift master himself, Corey Cudney R. If you're watching live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, consider subscribing to the Twitch channel. Lots of cool stuff going on. Ron Funches is coming through to play Mario Party with us right after this on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. That's cool.
What?
That's fun. Yeah, I know. I don't know, Khalif. I don't know anymore.
I'm like, what?
Exactly.
Like Ron Funches, DJ Khaled,
Megan Fox. She'll be right here to play with us any second, too. If you are on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames right now watching the show live, you have a special job. Go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe each and every weekday. Housekeeping for you. There is a brand new episode of PS I Love You XOXO up right now with the Trophy Room's Kyle Stephenson. It is us talking all about Jeffy Grubb's report that Starfield is officially not coming to PlayStation. It is an Xbox exclusive. We also talk about how the DualSense actually matters more than we ever thought it would, and so much more PlayStation goodness. You can get that on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe. No matter where you get it and support it, please consider subscribing, reviewing, ringing the bell. bell, leave a review, tell your friend, yell it out to your friends. Just drive through the neighborhood yelling about our podcast. Khalif, this is one of those interesting ones where Jeffy Grub's report of, hey, here's what I know about it, kind of broke throughout many a different way. Where yesterday on Games Daily, the guys talked about it in terms of, hey, over the weekend, this is the tweet he put out that he can officially confirm. Gamescast made him doubt himself, but he's officially confirming next year, 2022, not coming to PlayStation. So we tackled that on PS I Love You. Didn't want to bring it back to Games Daily because it's just Jeff giving a little bit more on why.
Sure.
Were you surprised by this? Just to get your comments there. I don't want to steal thoughts from you. What was your take on Starfield apparently being exclusive?
Well, I mean, first of all, industry heavyweight Jeff Grubb.
Lest I forget, I'm sorry. Just like I'm trending gamer, he is industry heavyweight.
Industry heavyweight Jeff Grubb. I mean, again, my thoughts about Starfield has always been that, again, if Microsoft is going to spend that kind of money, you have to make sure that thing is exclusive. In the fight of the conversation that we've had over the past 2 generations of games, where a lot of folks have been saying, especially from the Sony camp, that Xbox has no big games and all that kind of stuff. They've now spent the money to have big games on their platform. So this makes total sense to me.
100%. You can hear a much more in-depth discussion over on PS I Love You XOXO with me, Blessing, and Kyle. Friday, we are streaming money to raise money we're streaming money. That'd be awesome if I could just stream money. We're streaming to raise money for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. We will be out there 11 a.m. as usual. Who knows how long we'll go or how many guests we'll have on because we're figuring all that out. But you can go to kindafunny.com/Palestine right now to donate to this very great charitable organization. What's interesting is that I set the goal yesterday at $5,000, expecting probably hit that on Friday. Y'all crushed it, and we are just short of $20,000 right now without ever doing one stream. So thank you so much for your support. Consider going to kindafunny.com/Palestine and donating, or just go there to find out more about the charity. Again, the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. Thank you.
Fantastic show yesterday with Tam and Bless and Tim. That was so well done and
100%.
Really well done. I appreciated the commentary there for sure.
It was one of those, I'm always proud to be kind of funny in what we've built here. But yesterday, getting to listen to that while talking to Klepek for his article, while making sure our children's relief effort post got up and did everything else. I was incredibly proud of the team yesterday and the company and the community that we've built, obviously, because everybody's so fantastic in having hard discussions and talking stuff like this through, and understanding, of course, that at the core of Kind of Funny is, if you want to get in here and say just talk about games, fuck off. That's not what we do. This is a community, and we're people, and we're human beings, and we have emotions and spectrums, and that is going to touch many different things. And if we were just a gaming organization, I would still say that, but of course we're so much more than that, with 2 different YouTube channels, a slew of different podcasts, a whole bunch of different personalities, the ability to bring in all sorts of people from all walks of life and different life experiences, so that they can come in and you can learn something. And I'm blessed and privileged to learn something, not only from my staff every day, but from our community every day, from our guests every day, from our friends every day. And so, that's what this weekend was all about. I really, I was, on my own, a bit heartbroken that it took Tam putting out a video to really kick me in the ass and be like, no, you need to pay attention to this. And also to see, Tam's video cut through so much of the, I would say, indoctrinated bullshit of American culture, where it is, and maybe it's more than that, but it is so much about, you focus on what's local and what you know and what your country is, but that does often then just paint the Middle East and, hey, this is a place where it's always fucked up, so don't worry too much about it. And I'm like, all right, cool, don't. And then you have to have a friend come in and be like, whoa. And this is the, I talk about this all the time on Kind of Funny content. Khalif, you and I do a show with Kaiser Permanente and Cloud9 called Presence of Mind, with Alana Pierce, of course, but nobody's ever heard of her, where we talk about mental health and growing up in front of the camera and doing all these different things. And the hope I would have from doing Kind of Funny is that, we entertain you, but you also get to learn different life experiences that then inform your own in a way it never would. Because I always talk about that, of going to college and, having my first black friend, going to college, having my first gay friend, and I should say openly gay friend, right? But having people who could suddenly clue me in on things I was doing or saying that were like, this isn't playing the way you think it plays, and here's why, because here's my experience. And you're like, oh shit, I had no idea. And so that's a similar thing I think we do every day here, and that's the power of the internet when it works.
Yeah, agreed. Totally. I mean, again, I think most of the work that gets done in real ways gets done in intimate spaces. We have a really different way that we're kind of sharing that information out, because we both have shows and we're both kind of in the public sphere. But I think when all of you are at home and you're having those conversations, or you're not having those conversations, we're hoping that we're giving you the space to spark that interest and spark that space for you to be able to, broach them in a real comprehensive and smart and thoughtful way with the people that you care about, and broaden those circles out. So again, kudos to you and the team for snagging Tam last minute and pulling him in for that. Because again, the conversation has been wrought with lots of information that is hard for a lot of folks to be able to kind of dig into. Folks are scared to kind of dig into it, but the conversations between some of the stories we're going to talk about in a minute, and the conversation that you had with Tam is that it shouldn't be a scary conversation. You should be able to kind of talk to folks about what this is from a human level, which is where it really lands.
Yeah, and if you thought this was going to be a serious part of the show, oh boy, howdy, do we have some journalism talk to have in a second.
Stuff.
But before then, thank you to our Patreon producers, Blackjack and Tom Bach. Today we're brought to you by Caviar and Credit Karma, but Tim will tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 6 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
All right, let's start with number 1. It's your IGN Palestine update. Obviously, I would assume you caught Kinda Funny Games Daily yesterday, where, again, a blessing, Tim and Tam talked about all the Palestine stuff, but then also, as a layer above that, right, was talking about the video game side of it, where IGN and Game Informer put up separate articles, and GameSpot did, but theirs didn't get taken down. IGN and Game Informer put up separate articles of, hey, here's our ways to help the civilians of Palestine, the children of Palestine, the people who are caught in the crossfire of this horrible conflict. And so IGN put that up, and then it was up for a day and a half, and then it was unceremoniously taken down, and everybody was like, what the fuck is going on? And then in the middle of the night Sunday, like when everybody was asleep, a statement went up on Twitter, and then Monday morning you were here for Kinda Funny Games Daily to see everyone react to that. And we all had the ideas, the thoughts that, okay, seems like management interference. You see people on Twitter from IGN not really having this. Clearly this isn't editorial. Now we have a bit more. So we're going to start at Waypoint, where Patrick Klepek put up an article recapping all of this, going through all of that. But he put this up yesterday before the next piece of news. He put up his thing. And the new information that was probably happening while we were doing Kinda Funny Games Daily was this. It's a paragraph from Patrick's Waypoint article. At a contentious staff meeting yesterday morning, and I put that in there because it would have been this morning, 3 IGN employees told Waypoint that IGN Executive Vice President and COO Peer Schneider was peppered with questions about the post coming down. Who actually removed it? Why did they decide to remove it? One employee said Schneider did not respond with specifics and argued the issue was the charity article choosing a side in an ongoing quote-unquote war. Parentheses, he was specific to use the word war multiple times. Another employee asked if IGN's parent company, J2 Global, was motivated by financial investments in Israel, which reportedly Schneider could not answer. Again, Patrick's got a whole bunch of great reporting in there. Obviously, the whole lead-in, the whole outside of it, everything that's going on, everything that's happening. That's one went up, though, to give us a glimpse of what's happening behind closed doors at IGN. Then, yesterday afternoon, right around close of business, right? IGN employees put up an open letter to the management of J2 Global and Ziff Davis and the corporate leadership of IGN. It is incredibly long. It is incredibly well written, and I urge you to go read it in full. I am going to cherry pick some, and this is already going to be long. It's longer over there. A few summaries and go through, all right? We, the undersigned employees of IGN, are appalled by the recent management decision to subvert our editorial autonomy and remove our post directing aid to the Palestinian civilians currently suffering a humanitarian crisis in Gaza, the West Bank, and Jerusalem. In our original post, we offered our readers ways to support charities that help injured and sick children, supply educational resources and food assistance to victims, and provide emergency medical relief for those wounded or displaced by the conflict. We feel these efforts should not be controversial. All humans deserve access to these basic rights, and it is important for those with means to offer aid in times of humanitarian crisis. From there's multiple paragraphs detailing the timeline of what happened and kind of confirming exactly what we all thought probably did happen, right? Mm-hmm. The post they put up with this, both the Twitter and the Twitter and the IGN page, right? The post was shared thousands of times, called for humanitarian aid. A day and a half later, it's removed. The editors were not notified ahead of time or notified when it was taken down. Then the statement we get in the middle of the night, the staff also got right before it went live is Twitter. So they got this email that said the exact same thing, not understanding that would then be the statement that whoever from IGN management put out on Twitter. Kyle, you're already shaking your head, right?
It's like, man.
It's bad. It's bad.
Oh, man.
So now we'll rejoin the letter in progress. While we are glad to see a sizable donation being made to save the children, we feel the decision to remove the original article and social posts, as well as the subsequent statement from management, is not only actively harmful to IGN's public reputation and its employees, but also highly disrespectful to much of its content team and broader staff. The statement inaccurately ascribes the retraction to those, quote, across IGN, rather than to the members of our upper management team who made the decision, giving a public impression that the decision was made by the editorial staff, despite this being a choice we did not make collectively and which many of us do not agree with. Following an IGN-wide meeting this morning, we have come to understand that this was a clear instance of corporate overreach and demonstrated blatant disregard for the most basic standards of journalistic integrity and editorial independence. The business interests of a publication's ownership and its editorial staff should stay separate at all times. Amen. Importantly, we feel the latest statement dangerously turns what was a matter of supporting innocent civilians facing a humanitarian crisis into a harmful case of both sides-ism. Helping children and civilians harmed by the horrors of war should be uncontroversial, no matter who the two sides are, and is in keeping with IGN's ongoing efforts to highlight causes that are important to our team, such as our support of Black Lives Matter last year and our more recent celebration of AAPI Heritage Month and joining the call to end AAPI hate. The victims here deserve the same support. We, the undersigned, are calling for an all-hands meeting that includes IGN upper management and anyone at J2 Global or Ziff Davis who had a hand in the decision by the end of the week, in which we would like full transparency about the reasoning and process behind the post's removal. We ask that the management body responsible for the decision accept that responsibility publicly. We ask that management recognize IGN's editorial authority and autonomy with regards to what it publishes, regardless of whether the work is news, reviews, features, guides, video content, or promotion of initiatives our staff feels are important, such as issue awareness or charitable support. While we want to make sure all voices on our team, IGN management included, feel able to weigh in on what we say as a site and how we say it, we are adamant that corporate leadership does not get the final word in editorial decisions. Finally, we ask that management work with our staff to republish the piece. We are open to doing this through a process that incorporates management feedback and concerns about how the content is perceived, but we firmly believe that we must be allowed to advocate for humanitarian causes freely across our channels. We are a team of creators who love what we do and take pride in our work, which has previously enjoyed the support of and freedom of unnecessary interference from our parent companies. We would like that relationship to continue to be a positive one. It is our hope that management recognizes its errors this past weekend and is willing to work with us to ensure that IGN can continue to stand as a trusted publication, unconstrained by interference from corporate interests, and able to freely inform its audience about opportunities to support important and meaningful causes around the world. And then it was signed by a litany of IGN personnel, not just IGN editorial, IGN people from around the company, worth pointing out there. Khalif, I just talked for a long time. What's your take on all this? Where do you want to pick it up?
Somebody hit the Stone Cold Steve Austin theme music at the end of that article.
Rebecca Valentine.
Like
it's Rebecca Valentine, King.
Again, like if you think about what happened over the course of 48 hours, and you think about not only just how corporate cut the knees out from an editorial here, in a way where, again, we have in a consistent, like, let's think about the bubble in which we live in right now, where we're still always fighting the end of the conversations around what does ethical journalism look like in the gaming space, right? This being a full frontal attack on editorial by corporate for a thing that shouldn't be controversial at all is such a weird thing to see, but it was a fantastic response from the folks over at IGN. You're in trouble when people say we as the underserved. That means people are pissed. That means people are mad. People are about to beat that ass because they wind up saying.
Well, it's funny
stuff.
to read it, and the amount of people I saw read it, and I was talking to Jen. She's like, "All right, cool. So when do they unionize? You know what I mean? Like this is clearly exactly this is how this starts, right? Is that you make this volley? Here are our demands. Here's what we want from corporate, which is a meeting, which is an explanation. Which it sucks that. And again, keep in mind, I know Tim talked a bit about this. this and like us jumping in here. Obviously, I worked at IGN for 8 years.
Yeah.
I know some of these people involved. I know Pear very well. Like,
Yeah.
it's this weird thing of having Pear in this meeting and having him not be able to answer questions. To me, reads that cool. It was his boss's boss coming down saying, "This is what's going on." He communicates that to his staff. They ask questions. He doesn't have the answers. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I don't know. But it is a situation of like, oh God, what that's not what you want to hear, right? Like, how many times have you been there where you're like, can I speak to the manager? Like, you don't know what you're talking, you don't have the answer I need. Get out of the way, let me talk to the person it is. So like,
this is definitely like, you don't have the answer sway kind of moment. Like, this is a Kanye, you don't have the answer sway. But it is one of those things, right? Where again, like from the community perspective, this is what you want to see from the folks in the field who are doing this work every day. You want to see them stand up for themselves. You want to see them stand up for their rights to be able to do this work in a space where they don't have corporate overlords kind of, over their shoulders saying, this is what you can write. This is only what you can write. These are the only kind of expectations that we have of you and opinions that we want to see. Again, which is a weird thing because for corporate, all you had to do was not do anything. You just had to let people rock and just chill and do what they had to do.
I saw somebody tweet it the other day of like, what a Streisand effect moment, right?
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
Exactly that. Right? Like, yes, there was blowback when they put up the post. Yes, IGN Israel coming out with their statement and stuff I thought was, okay, this is not the way to do this. And then, but it was already not calming down. But like, look at GameSpot, whose post has been up the entire time. And it's not like GameSpot's burned to the ground or people, their traffic is cratered or yada, yada. It's like, let people be mad in that those few days for it. But then to do this, and then again, this is, I mean, remove all the Palestine stuff from it if you want to, right? Just to have the conversation about what's happening right now at IGN and why I think it's so important for Kind of Funny Games Daily, a show that is so much about the video game industry more than just here's a game you should play, right? Like, and I don't truck it out early. Let me dust it off. As a man with a journalism degree from the University of Missouri, right? Like, what a fucking quagmire. Why did you do this? Why? Like, talk about negating so much of the amazing work IGN.com has done in the last 5 years, right? Because it was that thing of when I worked there, obviously people hated IGN and people still hate IGN for no reasons or whatever. And they hated there for no reasons. But I'm talking about when I worked there, it was that thing of there was a lot of tribalism where it was that GameSpot I remember working at IGN years and years and years ago where GameSpot couldn't talk to us. That was an editorial mandate. Don't talk to IGN people at events or whatever. Obviously that's long gone. But even at the point where it was the idea that, I don't want to name sites because I wasn't at those sites, but other .coms that thought they were doing real games journalism and IGN sucked. And it's that, leads to the infamous story of I had a list on the phone of people who are talking shit about IGN all the time on Twitter, where I was like, I'll remember this because that person, blah, blah, blah. And like, that was a stupid move on my part. Talking shit was a stupid move on their part. But then, of course, you're young and stupid on the internet, and that's how it works. And to get to where we are now, where everyone is on a podcast with someone else. Everyone is in a relationship or a marriage with some other site.
Yes.
Like, people are moving around everywhere, and everybody's gone and done it to the point that IGN is not the IGN it was when it was me, Roper, and Dunham on Beyond. You know what I mean? And like, to then have it be here and have it be this thing where it's like, cool, you've hired in such a great staff. Let alone, like to have somebody like Dornbush and then have Rebecca Valentine, to have Pat Bailey, to have Tina over there running the entire thing. Like, what an eclectic motley crew of people who are going to bring different opinions to games, do different kinds of coverage, and then and not to mention, and this isn't me sidestepping Brian Altano and people who have already been working there for years and years, but I'm saying like building up this thing that like legitimately is doing great work, and you can look at and people are like, man, IGN's doing great, and then to step on this rake that you could have easily avoided. And what did they think was going to happen? Like, they hire in all these free thinkers. They hire in all these great writers. They hire in all these people who are clearly, there to, make good shit and be outspoken. And then you unceremoniously take down the article without a conversation. Oh, fucking hell.
Well, here's the funny part about all of that too, which is because this is a classic case of this should have stayed in the DMs. Like this, all of this should have stayed in the DMs real hard. Like IGN Israel should have just DM'd somebody and be like, "Yo, we got beef. Let's figure it out." But it is one of those things where you talked about this group of folks who are from so many different parts of the spectrum of life and so many different experiences within the gaming industry coming together to make this different and new version of IGN that we see now. If you thought that the squad wasn't gonna like. There's still this kind of air about like kind of dipping your feet in the water with politics and conversations about the world and state of the world issues in that way. If you think now that the folks who were there before, or the folks now were like, well, let's lightly tread with some of the stuff. Now
Oh man.
all bets are off now.
Yeah.
Like now I expect them to go full ham when it comes to conversations and ideas around some of that stuff in a way that's not going to get them fired. Because again, you still have a certain layer of like, we need to do this because the bosses need to say that we need to do this. And there's some lines I'm sure won't get crossed. But now you better believe that those stories are going to be coming out and more things are going to get pitched, and they're going to pull in more people who are going to pitch newer and different kinds of stories that might be more in line
further.
More in line with what you see at Vice or you see at other places like that now. And that they deserve to be able to do that now because they got their legs chopped underneath them.
And that's the thing. If you're not going to stand behind them on those decisions, I wonder if, because they're like, for me, it's very interesting to look at this and I don't want to speculate because I don't like that.
Sure.
And I know that like Imran, put up a thing yesterday. So did Gary of like, oh man, if this happened to me, I'd quit. And people stepped in like, I understand you're trying to help, but that's not really the way to help. And they're like, you know what? I apologize. Yada, yada, yada. Like, for me, what are the reverberations of this as you're talking about of like, how you're going to have a team ready to talk now. And I wonder too of like, like IGN got in a lot of hot water with the 6 days of Fallujah, IGN first. Right. And I felt like that happened and that kind of played out. But I wonder if it was to happen now after the fact, what would you see publicly from the team? Right. Because it isn't so much.
People are still mad about that article, right? People are still mad about some of the guests that are coming onto the show or people that have been on the shows this week, right? And some of the folks over at IGN, where now I think that there's going to be more of an expectation from the folks in the community who have been paying attention and who have been listening and consuming that content for a long time, for them to be even more transparent about the connections between corporate and editorial, where now it feels like each editorial piece that goes out needs to have a weird disclaimer on it that's like, corporate didn't fuck with us at all. Like we didn't, like, you know what I mean? Like nobody, forced our hand to do this or not do this in a way, because again, what it does is it sets up this precedent for folks who are doing that good work to then have to be second guessed by the public. Yep. And that's the part that makes it crappy and dangerous when they were already doing that anyway. So it's now even more of a layer that like separates the community from the folks doing the work. And it sets up just these weird interactions, these weird energies that go along with the work that shouldn't be this controversial for saying, hey, we don't want to see bombs dropped on kids.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. It wasn't that hard of a conversation to kind of wrap your brain around. But they totally botched that. They botched that so hard.
And that's what you bring up of like, to how much this has eroded the reputation of IGN and how much it has opened the door for anytime you want to attack a review or just make a joke at somebody's expense, right? Well, in my day, it was always the fact that they'd compare it to some other game or this guy killed God Hand or whatever, too much water. Like there's always something to use, but like this is like such an actual violation of it. And so my thing is like, I wonder, I didn't expect the mass walkout of IGN of like, you're going to see 10 people quit on Monday or something like that. But I do wonder how many people just got, all right, cool. I've been on the fence for a while. I've been ready to mosey for a while. Now I'm officially looking. Now I'm actually thinking. Me and these people are thinking about doing a podcast, like, and starting a Patreon. Like, that's the thing I was talking about yesterday with Jen of like, for me, it's gonna be interesting in 6 months who's still around, who's gone, what this has done to the reputation, and and I mean 6 months is a long view. The letter we are talking about right now, talks about the fact that they want a meeting this week. Mm-hmm. So this is how it goes when you're unionized, but when you're not here, cool. You've made this demand that you want a meeting in a week. What happens if that meeting doesn't happen? Then you figure there's another letter and probably a walkout. They're not a mass exodus of people quitting, but like we're not publishing anything today. We're not doing this. We're not covering whatever.
But imagine if you have that scenario, right? Where they go to that meeting and that meeting does happen and it goes badly. Yeah. And a lot of folks are like, this is not the answer that I thought I wanted. Well, this is the answer I didn't want. And now, hey, we have some of the top talent in the gaming industry. Again, what people don't understand about this industry is that, and that's the reason why the whole conversation is about like, you should leave. That stuff is just wild. But I think there are like 50 to 60 slots in this game in a real way, where you're at the top level of any kind of games industry space. IGN probably has like 15 to 20 of those slots, where you have folks that are, on camera personalities. You have the writers in the back room. You have all the folks who are doing all that work, video, all that stuff. Because that doesn't even talk about just the folks in editorial. That talks about everybody else who is there, who's doing cameras, lights, doing, production, all that kind of stuff.
Just database.
Those folks have feelings too about this as well, right? Mm-hmm. Does that then tell you that, again, that the company that you work for is a place that doesn't align with your values? And if those don't align with your values, what's a decision that you feel like you may want to make in a space where it has been more often than not that if you dip out and you leave one of those jobs, that you might be okay if you gather up enough good folks around you to make that stuff work. Of course, kind of funny, and min-max are companies and organizations that have done really well in that space. But think about it, if at least 5 out of the top 10 folks who are, top 10 folks over at IGN that people already know about decided to bounce out and go make their own thing. That thing is going to be successful.
Sure.
It's going to be successful. So like the people at IGN corporate, they really don't understand what they have and how rare that is to get this kind of squad together to do this kind of work in a space where editorial is still hard and still doesn't pay well. And the video games industry doesn't pay that much if you're not doing, game dev, if you're not doing other aspects that are not, in front of camera stuff. They could definitely dip out if they wanted to make their own super team, and they would do well in a way that might be able to match what they're.
And if I can jump in on this, right, and bring in, and I want to make clear, this is not an argument. I'm not trying to pick a fight out. I'm trying to jump off of something. JZ Science in the chat said, "Don't quit your jobs over this." Shaking my head. I'm, again, not encouraging anyone to quit their job, but what I do want to stress is, and I don't know what your job is or role is. Yeah. For me, Greg Miller, a person who worked at IGN and reviewed games and wrote a lot of content for the site, right? Like, this is a breach of basic ethics for what your job is and the responsibility of what your overlords and corporate bosses are and editorial team and stuff like that is. Like, I can't express to you enough in terms of, like, to peel back all the Greg laughing at an invisible Grover and yada yada, to go all the way back to like when I was writing reviews and when I just come out of J school and I just saw this, like this is such a violation of boundaries that I'm not saying people should quit, but you need to understand how much this is affecting people there and the way that somebody just came in and did that, right? I always go back to a long time ago, obviously, when like first year at IGN, I reviewed a video game. And I did not like it. And I put up the review, and it was the main cover of IGN.com and the main cover of PS3.com, maybe PS2.com, and or PS2.IGN.com. And I will never forget it. I got a phone call, and I picked it up, and it was that game's PR person who is no longer in the industry. And again, this is years and years ago. And they were like, "Just so you know, I've talked to your boss's boss, and that won't be in the cover tomorrow," and yada yada yada. And I remember being like, "All right." I mean, I was like, "I'm not giving this the time of day." But I hung up on it, and I turned to Dunham, who was Jeremy Dunham, of course, my boss at the time, leader of the IGN PlayStation team, and I told him all this, and I will never forget him listening, stopping, turning to me, and the rage filling his face, and being like, "Who did this?" And he got up and left, and he came back like 10 minutes later, and he was like, "Don't worry about it. It was that they called my boss's boss, but it was literally like they don't understand how the site works." This person was trying to be like, it won't be up tomorrow. Like, it's not going to be the front page tomorrow. Just let it ride for 24 hours. But, like, it was such a violation that the boss's boss called back. And it was like a whole thing of, like, them protecting me so I can do my job, not having to worry about that. And that's exactly what we talk about when we talk about the wall between editorial and advertising. It's what we talk about, like, the fact that when you to bring it to kind of funny, right? That, like, yeah, we'll take a sponsorship for a game we think looks cool or whatever, like ahead of time. We just did a Final Fantasy VII Integrate, right? But like Square knows that and you, the audience, knows that because it's us, when that game comes out, if it's garbage, we're going to say it's garbage, and we're allowed to say it's garbage, and we would never sacrifice that thing. And this is a bit apples and oranges here, but what I'm talking about back to IGN, right, is just the fact that, like, to have someone come in, not have a conversation, take this thing down, change something in your post, let alone completely delete it, let alone completely erase it from the internet, not understanding that anybody at IGN on the editorial team could have told them this was the destination if you do that. If you do that, it's people don't look at it and go, "Oh, the article's down. Back to my life. Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah. And again, the thing that I think a lot of folks don't understand is that when you do this work, the only thing you really have to stand on is your word and your consistency. Yeah. And if you lose one of those in the eyes of the audience, you are screwed.
Done. It's over.
Yeah. And that's when it winds up being done. So again, this gives the guys of the editorial team not keeping up their word and not standing behind the work that they did. So that's the reason why this is so important and why the response was, again, so beautifully done. It's like people that actually write for a living wrote this.
Yeah, you don't get into a fight with people who write for a living about words.
No, you never do that, you idiots. Why would you do that? That's the dumbest thing you can do. Don't mess around with people who are lawyers or writers. They will eat your lunch.
And it's like, they are like, J2 and IGN management are painted into a corner here, as they should be, because of their colossally stupid actions. And so what happens this week? And what happens if they don't give in to what IGN wants? And what happens if those people leave? I know, again, I am a dinosaur in this industry, but there's a reason Giant Bomb blew up when Jeff Gerstmann stood behind his review and was like, no, I don't like Kane Lynch. And they were like, get the fuck out of here. And GameSpot was set back years by that decision to get back to where they are now. And some people still don't trust them because of it, right? Like this, I understand, like, oh, don't quit your job over this. But I mean, like, there are ripples happening here, and I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm very interested, fascinated, and upset by it, of course. I've talked about this a million times when it comes to some of the plagiarism stuff IGN's gone through in the past, but like underneath my Kind of Funny logo is still my IGN logo, and the 8 years I served there, that was formative to me, who it is, and it's always going to hold a place in my heart. And so to see the people who work there get fucked over by management like this really sucks.
Yeah, agreed.
I digress. We will see and monitor the situation as it no doubt continues.
Stay tuned.
Number 2 on the Roper Report. Hold on. Actually, no. Let's see what, what's great? Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, because you can write in and be a part of the show. You can also get the post show we do over there, but you can also get the show ad free. But guess what, Jack? You're not watching on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. So let Tim tell you about our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Caviar. Loving good food doesn't necessarily mean you're able to cook well. If you want a good meal but need a little help, let the restaurant come to you. Caviar can help. I do it all the time. Let's be honest. I can't cook at all, and that's fine because I have Caviar to help me. Any food that I'm looking for, they will come deliver it right to my door. It's easy. It's great. Next thing you know, I'm eating some good food. Caviar is the food delivery app for people that are into good food. They bring the best local restaurants directly to your doorstep. Other apps may have the national chains, but Caviar keeps it local. Those hidden gems in your neighborhood, they're on Caviar. And I know this well. All the local taquerias that I love so much are now at my fingertips, and they come right to my door, and it's fantastic. If you're not sure what you want to eat, you can let Caviar's staff picks recommend the best spots in your neighborhood to find your new favorite. Caviar curates local options for every taste, whether it's the perfect Reuben from the sandwich shop or the best Indian vegan curry. You always have options for whatever you want, and options are always good, my friends. Just for you guys out there, Caviar is offering $10 off an order of $20 or more. All you have to do is put in the offer code KINDAFUNNY at checkout. Remember, that's $10 off a purchase of $20 or more with the offer code KINDAFUNNY. Download the Caviar app and use offer code KINDAFUNNY. KINDAFUNNY. And next up, shout out to Credit Karma. Okay, Credit Karma has always been there to help you make better financial decisions, and now they want to help even more. With a Credit Karma money spend account, you can be rewarded for good money habits. And who doesn't want instant gratification like that? Credit Karma Money is a brand new checking account where you can win cash reimbursements for making purchases. When you use your Credit Karma Money debit card, you can win daily instant Karma purchase reimbursements on items up to $5,000. You just pay with your debit card, and if you win, you'll be notified on the spot, and your instant Karma cash will be added back to your spend account. Credit Karma Money has already given away over $3 million in instant Karma to over 50,000 Credit Karma members and counting. That's awesome. Right now, you can visit creditkarma.com/winmoney to open your free account and start winning instant Karma. Go to creditkarma.com/winmoney to sign up for free and start winning instant Karma. That's creditkarma.com/winmoney. Who doesn't want to win money? Instant Karma is sponsored by Credit Karma. No purchase necessary. Exclusions and terms apply. See rules. Banking services provided by MVP Bank Inc. Member FDIC. Maximum balance and transfer limits apply. One more time. That's creditkarma.com/winmoney.
Number 2 on the Roper Report, GTA Online on PS5, and then the next boxes has dates. We join an already in progress. Rockstar press release. An assortment of new updates to both GTA Online and Red Dead Online are on the way throughout May and the summer months, bringing some of the most frequently fan-requested additions to each game, along with a host of new items, quality of life updates, and much more. If you are into Red Dead Online or GTA Online, of course, you can go get those details, those things that are happening. There are many paragraphs of it. But then we get to the meat. The expanded and enhanced editions of Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto Online are arriving on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S with new features and more on November 11th, 2021. As an added bonus, this summer's updates to GTA Online will include special benefits for players to take advantage of in these expanded and enhanced versions when they drop. Plus, in honor of the upcoming 20th anniversary of the genre-defining Grand Theft Auto 3, we'll have even more fun surprises to share, including some specifically for GTA Online players. While the standalone version of GTA Online will be available to players on both platforms, this new standalone version of GTA Online will be available for free exclusively to PlayStation 5 players during the first 3 months. And PlayStation Plus members on PlayStation 4, make sure to claim your 1 million GTA bucks, whatever they call them, by visiting the PlayStation Store at the start of each month. Every month until the launch of GTA Online on the PlayStation 5. Koch, do you care about GTA Online? Yeah, get your shark cards.
Shark card money coming to you, FDIC approved. No, I mean it's one of those things where it's like I had never really got into GTA Online because my first initial impression of that experience was load up, have your $5,000 in your pocket, immediately go into the lobby, random person shoots you, take all your money, and then you just log off because you're like, this isn't fun. But I've seen so many people over the past 35 years that these games have been out be able to run in and have a lot of fun. I feel like I missed out on something. You ever have that feeling where you're just like, oh yeah, there was some zeitgeist around a thing, you just missed it?
Yeah.
And that's
Kevin
me for
and I
GTA
tried
Online.
Years ago now. Kevin and I tried, but we were in the new studio. We were like, let's do it. Let's get into GTA Online.
Yeah.
So we went and did it, and it was that thing of like, man, the menus are complicated. And like, wait, am I in your world? I'm not in your. Some kind of funny best friend would Sherpa us around or whatever, and it's just like, all right, like it isn't doing it. Like, you know what I mean? But then we'd go play stuff with Achievement Hunter. We'd go do videos with them, and they'd play, and they were like doing game modes and stuff. We were having a great time, but then it was just I could never get into it at home on my own.
The weirdest thing about seeing more conversations around GTA 5 and GTA Online has been me playing more role playing. I've done more role playing servers of late. I was doing some stuff with Gary Whitta and other folks.
Gary Whitta.
I mean, he's
Englishman in Los Santos. We heard about it.
Los Santos. We had our first interaction of Englishmen in Los Santos with my dude Contangelo Jackson as the character there. But in terms of GTA 5 Online now, I'm just like, this is Skyrim all over again. It's so many versions of it.
Sure.
It's so many times it's come back. It's never going to die. We're going to be on the next consoles and they're going to do another GTA 5.
Oh, if you want that, then let's go to story number 3. Speaking of never fucking dying, Saints Row the Third is coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X/S. Excellent news has just dropped, Saints. On May 25th, Saints Row the Third Remastered will bring the mayhem to Xbox Series X/S and PlayStation 5. This version will also be free to all current owners of the game and will equal the ultra settings on PC. Improvements made to the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 version include frame rate boost to 60 frames per second and dynamic 4K resolution. Whilst Xbox Series X players can choose between performance, 60 frames 1080p, and beauty, 30 frames 4K modes. Of course, this version will also take advantage of the SSDs on the new consoles and serve much faster loading times. Plus, by popular request, we have added Saints Purple to the glow color of the DualSense controller. To add to the Saints Row news, we can confirm that Saints Row the Third Remastered will be available on Good Old Games on May 22nd, launching alongside the Steam version. If you are a child, which would be understandable, maybe you don't understand this game originally came out November 15th, 2011 on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Windows. What the fuck?
Here's my new definition of SSDs when it comes to some of these games is stop selling discs. Please stop selling discs. We don't need it anymore.
There are technically more versions of with this coming. There will technically be more versions of Saints Row the Third than there are GTA 5, which is fucking ridiculous.
I love this game. It was a really good game, but I played this game 4 times already.
I mean, it's
Like-
one of those. This version is also free to current owners of the game, so good. That's there for you. And I guess it is a good game. No one's taken away from it being a good game. So if you haven't played it, there's a chance to. Paris Lilly has come in here, and I don't know if he's coming in to talk about ribs or barbecue or Saints. What's going on, Paris?
I literally was at the gym, and I go, "Oh wait, let me see what's happening on KFGD."
GD, yeah.
And God, I can't even talk. I'm sorry, but I saw that Mr. Khalif Adams was here, so
Can I
could
have
not
nothing,
resist.
Paris, for myself? Can I have nothing? Can I have nothing?
No,
Give me my moment in the sun.
I legitimately wanted to come on here and just profess my love for Khalif and say how proud I am of him, of all his accomplishments and
This is
everything
such a
that he's
lie.
been doing.
I don't believe
And
this shit.
even though he can't cook, because let's be clear on that, he cannot cook.
Wow.
I'm extremely proud of him, and I wish him all the best in his future endeavors.
Okay. I
Lots to
appreciate
unpack.
that.
Lots to unpack.
I take that in therapy. You know, we're going to go back to presence of mind real quick. I take that in, I absorb it, I now reject it, and get the hell out of the show. I'm doing the show with
All
Greg.
right,
Bye. Get the hell out
Yeah,
of the
it's
show.
again like people in the chat like, why are you bitching about a game? It's more the joke, guys, of just this. How many times are they going to re-release Saints Row? It was 2011, PS3, Xbox 360, Windows, Nintendo Switch 2019, PlayStation 4 May 22nd, 2020, Google Stadia 2021. Like, just make a new Saints.
Yeah.
Just go.
I mean,
you
they
know,
are.
want a new
Aren't they?
Saints.
I know they are. Put it out. Stop re-releasing this one.
I want a
Yeah,
new
it's not like
Saints and
this
I want a new
ultimately,
GTA.
affects us in any negative
No.
way. It's just like,
It's just
no, this is
goofing around.
ridiculous.
It's unreasonable because it's one of those weird things where it's like, if you haven't played it at this point, are you really thirsty for either one of those things? No one. Everybody wants new stuff. Everybody wants new stuff, and new stuff is coming. But literally, everybody wants new stuff. You don't want the old stuff.
Well, I got some new stuff for you in story number 4. All right.
Damn
it's a
right.
question. Is Devolver Digital going public? This is Marie de la Sandre over at GamesIndustry.Biz. Devolver Digital is reportedly preparing to go public on the London Stock Exchange with a valuation that could reach £1 billion, right? Yeah, that's how they do.
Yeah.
According to The Telegraph, the publisher appointed bankers from Zeus Capital in preparation for its public listing. Game World Observer added that the company is expected to go public by the end of the year. There's no more details about the situation at this stage. GamesIndustry.Biz reached out to Devolver, but the company didn't have more information to share. The company had a very successful 2020, being the publisher of Mediatonic's hit Fall Guys. It also acquired Serious Sam developer Crow Team last year for an undisclosed sum. We recently talked to the company's marketing manager, Robbie Patterson, about the strategy behind RPG roguelike Loop Hero. Fall Guys initially launched in August 2020 and quickly became the most downloaded PlayStation Plus game of all time. It also became the highest earning digital launch of any PC title since Overwatch in May 2016. The title was among Steam's top earners for 2020, alongside titles such as GTA 5, PUBG, and Counter-Strike Go. We talked to Mediatonic earlier this year about Fall Guys' success, and it plans to bring even bigger audiences. Something to keep your eye on over there.
I mean, that's good. I mean, that's good news for folks who are thinking about the potential health of a publisher, though, right? Like, I think
totally.
you don't do that work unless you're thinking about getting bigger and expanding and what that looks like. And it's also one of those things that tells you just how strong the portfolio of Devolver has been over the past couple of years, especially with them pulling in Fall Guys and all these other folks. There's Annapurna Games, Devolver, Mediatonic, and there's like not Mediatonic, Housemark, and some other. There's like 2 other devs where you automatically, for me, you say you put out a game, I'm copping it, and Devolver.
Well, that's the thing about Devolver, right? I think as a publisher, right, they have such a vibe for the partners they bring in, the developers they bring in, what they put out, and it is that everybody's seen their E3 press conferences and the fact that they are trying to be in on the joke and trying to do all this stuff, and it's like it's a very like anarchy. I feel like skatery kind of thing, right? Like not extreme, but like they're the cool kids. They're the cool kids.
Yeah.
They're too
They're
cool
the
for
punks
school.
sitting in the corner table,
Yeah, exactly,
fucking
right.
around.
And they put out stuff
that's
like, Loop Hero, you know what I mean? You're like, yeah, that's a great game. They put out things that you're like, yeah, that's a great game. And it's one of those, I feel like, Carry On, right? They put out the weird games that you don't connect with every time, but when you do connect with one of them, you respect the fact that they're there. Ape Out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a Devolver joint. Like,
yeah.
come on. Like,
so many good games. And I think that's one of my new bucket list items. I want to be in their E3 press conference. I want to be in that. I want to get killed. I want to get killed in it. Yes, I want to get killed in it.
I still think one of the greatest jokes of all time is when PlayStation asked Devolver to have someone come in as a talking head in that thing to talk about they brought in Nina Struthers, the woman they hire, who's just an actress. So fucking good. I was like, oh my God. Because PlayStation had no idea.
No.
Like, Nina Struthers, CFO, or whatever her title is, and they just put her in there.
No idea. That's so good.
Let me give you some quick hits to round out this show here. All right, number 5. This is a weird no news story. Basically, though, I wasn't sure if I needed a pad today. Don't expect Hollow Knight at E3 2021. Wesley LeBlanc at IGN had the thing, but basically what happens is Team Cherry put over in their Discord a thing from Griffin, a member of the marketing publishing team, Matthew Griffin, who wrote, "Hey guys, I just wanted to pop in and let you know that Team Cherry does not have any announcements / blogs scheduled for E3 this year. So if you were looking forward, ladies and gentlemen, to Hollow Knight Silksong being announced or getting more information about it at E3, do not hold your breath. That is not happening."
Tim's
Not
fantasy
happening.
critic league list is looking dire
As
and dire
usual.
by the moment.
I'm tearing that thing apart. And I got Mario Golf. Woo-wee! Come on now. Come on now, kids. Number 6. I got quick hits from you from game. I called this GamesIndustry.Biz FACTS. Because these are all things that came through my inbox, and I was like, oh, it's a headline. I don't think there's much to discuss. And then when Games Industry put them all together, I was like, oh, you know what? I can just yell out facts and everybody will be happy.
Yeah.
Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey, has sold 1 million copies. Congrats to them.
Did you play that?
No, I heard it was not good. So I was like, I am not touching that. I don't have time for that. I do not have time for that. I don't want to be. What was it? You played up the evolutionary chain, right?
I kind of need to go back to it. I know it wasn't really good when it dropped. I feel like they if they sold 1 million, that gives me some want to try to go back and check it. Anyway,
Remember, that is the game that we sent Devin Sauer to cover at a preview event, and he came back and talked on the Gamescast about it. Just a heads up. Casper and Idle Hands, Devin Sauer. They're the best. I love just hearing the stories from PR of like all these other games journalists there to play the game, and they just looked over like, that fucking Devin Sauer is the guy from Final Destination here to cover this game for kind of funny. Your next games industry fact is Bad Robot Games raised more than $40 million in Series B funding. Of course, Bad Robot J.J. Abrams thing. They had made the announcement they were coming into games. They've raised more money. Eventually, that'll turn into a game we can care about. And then Blazeball developers raised $3 million in funding. The Game Band, who is the developer, the Game Band is going to use the investment to expand the team and release a mobile version of the absurdist fantasy sports title.
I feel like I need to get into that. I've seen so many people talking about it. So many kids talking about it. I remember Daniel Dwyer talking about it. I need to get into that.
When Rebecca Valentine was here visiting San Francisco not too long ago, but a long time now ago, we did a socially distanced thing in Golden Gate Park. And it was that thing of her telling me about it. I was like, I never want to play this. I just want to hear it from your perspective of like the crazy shit that happens in that game and all these different things they move around and like, there's like a thing that eats people and all. I was like, oh my God, like I just want to hear. I want to read about it. I want to read the sports report.
Yeah.
Khalif.
Yes.
I'm excited to never play Blazeball, but maybe one day play Blazeball on a mobile device. But that's so far away. If I wanted something more immediate, say what came to the mom and grop shops, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform is listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah. Out today, SnowRunner on Switch, Arxia on Switch, Jetboard Joust on Switch, Essays on Empathy on PC, Days Gone on PC. Oh, motherfucker.
Wow.
Void TR.
Sounds like a perfect time to play Days Gone.
Parentheses,
It's good.
parentheses, semicolon, / Void Terrarium + is on PlayStation 5.
Wait, I'm sorry. You need to read that. You need to read that title.
Wow.
Again. Hold on.
That's
hold
what
on.
you all wanted to make jokes about Days Gone. It's the
Wow.
hashtag PS We played this for PS I Love You this month. Play it.
Sounds
Make
like
your own
a
opinions
great
about it.
time to start playing Days Gone. You know what I'm saying, y'all?
50
What
fucking hours.
what you just read sounded like the feelings I had right after I got my shot.
Hold on.
Void TRRLM
like my body shutting down.
semicolon / Void Terrarium ++. PlayStation
Okay,
5.
I gotta look up gameplay for this. I'm
Oh
sorry.
my
Hold on.
goodness.
Yeah, well,
Leisure
Keep
Suit
reading your
Larry.
list. Keep reading your fucking list.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Leisure Suit Larry, Wet Dreams Dry Twice, PlayStation
Wow.
4, Xbox One, and Switch. Siege Survival, Gloria Victis, PC. On the heels of today's announcements of the upcoming races, big update. Red Dead Online players can now score triple Red Dead Online money. Essays on Empathy is back here. I already said that. Too bad. Guardians of Lore is finally on Steam. And then the Marvel's Avengers launches the Champion system today if you want to go earn more XP. And you know I do. Y'all motherfuckers know I'm back deep in Avengers today getting all these Champion points.
God.
Now you're showing us over here. This is
What is
Void
this?
TRRLM parentheses / Void Terrarium ++ on PS5.
The way that character slow blinked is exactly how I feel.
New dates. Elite Dangerous Odyssey is coming to PC May 19th. Summer Games Done Quick schedule is up. That'll be happening July 4th through the 11th. I already talked about that. Maneater is coming to Steam, Xbox Game Pass, and Nintendo Switch on May 25th. Nubla 2 is coming to Steam May 28th. The Ascent is coming to Xbox consoles and PC July 29th. The Heart of Darkness is coming to PC June 10th. And then Wilder Myth is going to officially launch on Steam June 15th. Deals of the day for you. Fuser is getting a permanent price drop. Fuser will now be $39.99 and the VIP edition will be $79.99. Of course, this is going to be across all the platforms, PC, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. Did you play Fuser? I see you nodding over there.
Oh, I love Fuser. Fuser's my game.
Tim liked it a lot, or Blessing liked that a lot, and I have it, and I never ever started it. And I feel
you got to start it. It's very, very good. Yep.
Okay, cool. Game Pass has a bunch of updates for you. SnowRunner is available now. These games are coming out on May 20th. They're all EA stuff. Peggle 2 in the cloud, EA Play. Plants vs. Zombies, Battle for Neighborville, cloud, EA Play. Secret Neighbor, PC, May 20th. The Wild at Heart console and PC, still May 20th. Then on May 21st, The Catch, Carp, and Course Fishing comes to cloud, console, and PC. Also, Knockout City comes to console and PC. I'm very excited to play some Knockout City. Of course, remember too, deal of the day. Knockout City is free on all platforms for the first 10 days because they want you to come in and play. No gating. I'm very impressed by them doing that. Maneater, as we already said, is coming out on May 25th, but it's also coming day and date to Xbox Game Pass, cloud, console, PC. Conan Exiles comes to cloud and console May 27th. Optimized for Series X on May 27th as well. Fusion Frenzy, May 27th. These are all May 27th. Joyride Turbo on cloud. Fusion Frenzy on cloud. Mech Warrior 5 Mercenaries on console. Slime Rancher on PC. Solasta, Crown of the Magister on PC, and then Spellforce 3, Soul Harvest on PC.
Damn. Get it.
A lot of games. Lots of things to play out there.
Look at that breath control. You could be an MC. Look at you, Greg.
Look at me. I could be. Khalif, we asked people watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames to go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up. So we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, rooststreet.com, and podcast services around the globe. Hard to find writes in with a "you're wrong." It says, Greg had no fucking clue what you were talking about when you made the Kanye reference. That is correct.
I saw a glazed look over Greg's face. But as a good co-host, I didn't bring that up. But thank you for doing that.
As a good co-host, I just kept nodding along, right? It's very much like Airheads. Or no, Wayne's World, when the guy's switching all the tapes and they're making fun of him. Nanobiologist says, Greg, nobody plays Blazeball. It's fan stories. You just love watching it. I like hearing about it from Rebecca's point of view, all right? I don't want to know what's going on and all that stuff. Don't worry about it. And then Calhan says, I missed that Ascent is coming to Game Pass console and PC day one. So there you go.
Yeah, if anything, Blazeball plays us in the end, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
In Blazeball world, Blazeball play you. Let's talk about tomorrow's hosts. You're going to have Blessing and Andy on this show. Thursday, it'll be me and Steve Saylor. Friday, it will be Blessing and myself. Of course, we have a post show to do over on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. If you're watching live on Twitch, Ron Funches is here to play Super Mario Party with the boys. I'm excited to see that after I do this post show. Khalif, before we go, behind the paywall of patreon.com/kindoffunnygames that supports us and keeps the mics and lights on. Where can people keep up with you?
Check us out on all podcast platforms. Look up the Spawn on Me podcast with Khalif Adams. I'm going to have a couple of really dope pieces of stuff out this week. We have our show on Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. PST at twitch.tv/Spawn on Me with Jason Schreier is going to be rocking with us. And I get to show on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spawn on Me. I'm putting out my first preview of Deathloop from Arcane. So that's going to be really, really good. A lot of people have been checking that stuff out. Again, please subscribe to the stuff. We definitely want to have more of the KF BF folks rocking with us and sharing out the work that we're doing. And it'll be fantastic for you to come through. This weekend also, Fanbyte, twitch.tv/Fanbyte is the mother company where our podcasts live. We're going to be doing our own charity event for the folks over in Palestine this weekend. So make sure you're checking that stuff out as well over there. So yeah, mad stuff happening. Lots of things coming.
Stuff happening.
Lots of things.
Ka, thank you so much for your morning. I
love you, fam.
We're going to do it on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. But if you're not following us over there, until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.